Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, vulnerable, older and disabled people in need of social care could be put at risk by Brexit. The charity Independent Age is making that claim in a report that's been released today. They say around 80,000 paid carers come from the EU and that even a small cut in that workforce could prove highly damaging. Millions of people in Britain depend on adult social care services to help them stay living in their own homes or residential care. Help includes eating, drinking, washing and staying clean. Simply, without recruiting from the EU, it is feared that there will not be enough people to look after an ageing population. Here's Sangeeta Maiska on a system under strain.
British people have spoken and the answer is we're out.
This was the night Britain chose to Brexit. Cutting migration from the European Union was a key concern for many voters. Including the over 65s, 60% of whom voted out.
It's putting great back into Britain. Instead of English, Britain, we'd be Great Britain again.
But according to a new report by the charity Independent Age, any cut could affect them the most. Our ageing population has complex needs, and our adult social care system is facing huge operational and financial pressures. There are currently 1.3 million people working in the sector. Over 80,000 of them are migrants from the European Union. So what has the government said about their job security? Well, back in July, the Health Secretary, Jeremy Hunt, offered this.
We will not end up in a situation where EU nationals, upon whom we absolutely depend in the health and social care system and who do an absolutely outstanding job, would not be allowed to remain in the UK. The Home Secretary has said that she is very confident that we'll be able to negotiate a deal where they're able to stay here as long as they wish.
But of course, Brexit negotiations haven't even started, and experts say there aren't enough British-born care workers to fill the gaps. Care providers say attracting people into the industry is difficult. Shifts are often long, and caring can be physically and emotionally demanding. Hands-on carers are often paid on or around the national living wage of £7.20 an hour. Worse still, staff turnover rates are currently running at a staggering 24%. That means about 300,000 paid carers quit their job every year. With tens of thousands of unfilled vacancies, the pressure on those in work is going up. Today's report says unless pay and conditions improve substantially, in 20 years' time we'll have a shortfall of 350,000 workers. They say that means even a small cut in the number of EU workers coming into the industry will put vulnerable, older and disabled people at risk.
Well, let's talk to a panel of people on how they think the industry will cope once we do actually leave the European Union. Bob Padron owns Penrose Care. It's a home care company. Olga Garcia is a Spanish migrant worker who works for Bob's company. Daniel Kaczynski is a Conservative MP and member of the Commons Foreign Affairs Committee who supports Brexit. Christina Imri is the director of a company which recruits care workers from an agency in Romania, and Dr. Jamie Wilson, founder of the home care service Home Touch. Thank you all very much for coming in. Let's start with you, Christina, because you work with a recruitment firm. So are you seeing an impact already, even though we haven't actually left?
Yes, unfortunately, we could see the impact straight after the results of the referendum, because it became increasingly difficult to attract care workers, even from countries in Eastern Europe. And then after Brexit, people started being worried. And unfortunately, all this uncertainty, it shows a big impact in the industry. There's more demand that we have from employers in the UK that there's carers to fill the positions with.
Is it a minority or a majority? I mean, what's the sort of, can you put sort of figures on it or percentages?
I think we dropped,
in terms of
yes, we actually dropped in figures by 25%.
because of the uncertainty. So, Bob, tell us how much you rely on workers from Europe in your home.
Oh, we're a home care provider, so we support people in their home. So Penrose Care, we're a newer organization, so our workforce is roughly 80% EU, which independent age found was the proportion of new workers entering social care.
And so if there's a reduction in the number of workers wanting to come here from Europe, it could potentially have quite an impact on your business.
It could have quite an impact. And in fact, we've already seen quite a strong impact as well since July. We've already seen a decline in applications, and it's been more difficult to hire.
So what does that mean for you?
It means we need to figure out a way to adapt. We're still trying to figure out how exactly to do that. I think that social care has really two main issues in terms of recruitment, not just recruiting EU nationals, but also recruiting locals. And that's that one, working conditions tend to be poor. At Penrose Care, we fix that. We pay the London living wage, we pay for travel time, we give our workers a guaranteed minimum of hours. But the second issue with recruiting people into social care is the general image.
So that's the broader picture, isn't
Yes.
it? Let's bring in Olga, who's one of your workers from Spain. Olga, you've been here for 4 years. How do you feel about your status here since the Brexit result?
Well, the first thing, I feel a little insecure because after 4 years, I don't know what is going to happen. I'm a little lucky because next year I can ask for dual nationality, but most of my colleagues and everything, they cannot do that. They don't know what is going to happen in the future. Well, to be honest, nobody knows.
Dr. Jamie Wilson, you also run a home care service. Bob was saying it's important to adapt, sort of looking at the bigger picture. If there are concerns around what Brexit might mean for workers from Europe, are there other issues that companies like yours just need to be looking at?
Our Home Touch is a different model of care, and actually we've been very adaptive right from the start in terms of being able to recruit both UK workers and people who were previously in the care sector. And the reason for that is because carers earn about 50% more than through most agencies, so they earn typically above £12 an hour. And about 20% of our current workers are from the EU, but we actually don't have such a problem in terms of finding those carers. The issue for us really is finding the quality sort of workers. That's important. But our model has enabled people who were previously working in the care sector, but you heard about earlier, leaving because of the poor working conditions, actually coming back to us because they've got better working conditions with this model, where they have more continuity with each client, better pay, more freedom to sort of manage their own schedules.
So for you, how much of a concern is Brexit?
It's a concern in the sense that I think once we leave the EU, then that will potentially reduce a pool of people coming into the UK. But as I say, I think we're confident that there are a large number of people who want to work with our model. I mean, for example, we've been running for 18 months and we've seen 8,000 care workers, and we have 400 working with us. So we're not short of applications. So it's actually a different kind of model. And I think the point I would make in this segment is that the industry in a way needs to change and think about how do we bring really good people back into the sector, and one of the ways to do that is to try and find ways to increase their pay.
Daniel Kuczynski, how do you see all of this? Because Jeremy Hunt has been saying there won't be an issue, people don't need to worry about the status, but the negotiations haven't started and it's not clear which way they'll go.
Well, first of all, I have seen at first hand in my own constituency of Shrewsbury the extraordinary skills and professionalism and caring that certain Polish and other immigrants from Europe have given to residents of care homes in my constituency. But ultimately, immigration was the #1 issue at the last general election. And with net migration to this country of over 350,000 a year, the British people expect, and they have expressed this very loudly and clearly, they expect us to manage the immigration system. And that is what we have to do in the post-Brexit era. Of course, people with skills that are in shortages in the United Kingdom they will be able to apply for work permits like people do at the moment from outside the European Union. We also have very skilled workers coming from the Philippines and from Nigeria.
So would you, sorry, just to be specific then, would you see care workers as being key in that context?
I think it's extremely important that we ensure that more people, more British nationals within our own country are motivated to work in this very important sector. But ultimately, if there are shortages and a certain organisation or certain group of care homes can prove that they can only recruit from overseas, of course, those people who they are wanting to recruit will be able to put in their work permits. But please, let's not forget, this is a very important issue, and your other commentators have obviously skirted over this issue. We have to demonstrate to the British people that we can control our own borders and that we can make sure that immigration works for the benefit of the United Kingdom and is properly managed.
So, Bob, respond to that then. Why not turn to more British workers within your model?
I'm absolutely keen to turn to whoever wants to work in social care, whoever has a vocation to take care of our most vulnerable. But as the MP said, if there is a shortage of domestic workers, we do need to find people willing to work. And of course, if they want to come from the EU or they come from elsewhere, you know, that's good.
But you said earlier that you have to adapt. Do you think it's possible to make up the shortfall with British workers? What is your experience in trying to find British workers?
Well, it comes again back to the image problem. I mean, I have a recent case where we are very close to hiring a new worker who was British, and she seemed very excited to come and work for us. But then, shortly before she was going to apply to us, she told me she spoke to her mother, and she told me that her mother said, "Oh, this doesn't look good. You know, you shouldn't be doing this. You should do something else." So it's not just about the working conditions. We also need to work on attracting anyone, British or not British.
So Daniel, respond to that. I mean, do you think that sometimes British workers don't want to do the work that European workers are prepared to do?
Well, obviously more needs to be done in order to encourage people to join and work in this sector. But can I make the point to you, which is also very important? I could take you now to towns and cities in Poland and also in Romania, where they are starting to feel the real impact as a result of this brain drain of highly skilled, educated workers coming over. So although we are plugging our own shortfall, and there's the lady you interviewed, her company is recruiting Romanian care workers to come specifically and work in the United Kingdom. What about the care homes in Romania, and who is actually fulfilling the shortages that they have? It is highly irresponsible to be dealing with our own problems by then pushing the problem further down the line to our neighbours in Europe.
I'd love to get your reaction, but we're right out of time, I'm afraid. Thank you all very much. Thank you. We'll no doubt talk about this again. Thank you. Spokesperson for the newly formed Department for Exiting the European Union told us the Prime Minister has been clear that she wants to protect the status of EU nationals already living here. We are helping providers to recruit staff with the right values and skills to make sure we deliver compassionate care.
I've been getting away with it all.